Hello students, welcome to the biology class. We are continuing with our same chapter, how do organisms reproduce. In our last chapter we discussed about what is reproduction, what is DNA copying and variation. Today we are going to discuss modes of reproduction, means the types of reproduction. Living organisms reproduce mainly by two methods. Number one is asexual reproduction and number two is sexual reproduction. So first we will discuss about the asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? When reproduction occurs without the formation and fusion of gametes, it is called asexual because it does not involve sex cells or gametes. Means the reproduction in which no formation of gametes and the fusion of gametes takes place. Such type of reproduction is known as asexual reproduction. The important characteristics features of asexual reproduction are: number one, asexual reproduction is uniparental. Uniparental means only a single parent is involved. It does not involve formation as well as fusion of gametes. All cell division are mitotic, means the equational division, means the parent cell or the single parent which undergoes the division, they shows the meiotic division, that is the equational division. It is a method of rapid multiplication. Daughter organisms are genetically identical, same to the parents, and such daughter organisms are known as clones. So you must have heard about the name of the clones. Clones means which are genetically identical to the parents, which are basically the carbon copy of their parents. Asexual reproduction is commonly found in unicellular organisms, plants and lower animals. So what are the different forms of the asexual reproduction? Common modes of asexual reproduction are: number one is fission, budding, spore formation, fragmentation and regeneration. So first we are going to start with the fission. What is fission? As the name indicates, means division. So a unicellular organism splits or divides into two or more daughter cells, and each daughter cell becomes complete organism. The division of unicellular organism into one or more daughter cells, and each daughter cells become a complete organism after the division. That mode of asexual reproduction is fission. And depending upon the division, if two daughter cells are formed, then it is called as a binary fission, and if more than two daughter cells are being formed, then it is known as the multiple fission. The example of fission is amoeba, paramecium, leishmania and bacteria. Types of fission, that is binary, in which two daughter cells are formed, and multiple, in which more than two daughter cells are formed. So first we will discuss about the binary fission. In binary fission, the parent organism splits into two identical daughter organisms. The example of binary fission is amoeba and leishmania. So binary fission in amoeba, it's a very important topic. During this process, the nucleus of amoeba divides into two and is followed by the division of cytoplasm in any plane. So this is very important. From any plane, the amoeba divided into two daughter cells. It may be equal division or it may be unequal daughter cells, but they are identical to their parents. So in this way, amoeba divides into two identical daughter amoebae. This is the plural of amoeba. So now in this picture you can see this is the parent DNA, this is the nucleus of the DNA, this is the pseudopodia, and when the binary fission starts, means when the reproduction begins, when the cell has attained the maximum size, so first the division of the nucleus takes place, that is the elongation of the nucleus, and followed by the division of the cytoplasm, and the nucleus, the elongation of the nucleus forms the division of the nucleus, and two daughter nuclei are formed, followed by the deepening of the cytoplasm, and ultimately the two daughter cells are formed which are identical to their parents. So such type of the division in which two daughter cells are formed which are identical to their parents is known as binary fission. The example is amoeba. The second example of the binary fission is leishmania. In this, the leishmania, it is having a Y-plex structure that is known as the flagella. This is the Y-plex structure that is called as the flagella, and they occur at the definite orientation, means at the definite plane they will divide into the two daughter cells. What is the difference between the binary fission in amoeba and leishmania? Amoeba divides into two daughter identical cells by any plane, whereas in leishmania it divides into two daughter cells by a definite plane or a definite orientation. So in leishmania, having a Y-plex structure at one end, so this is a structure at one end of the cell, binary fission occurs in definite orientation in relation to the structure to the long axis of the cell. The two daughter cells are formed identical to the parent cell. Is it clear about the binary fission? About what is the difference between the amoeba and leishmania? The next is your multiple fission. So during this process, the cell or the organism divide into large number of the cells or more than two. Each cell grow into new organism under favorable condition. So what does it mean? That the parent cell of the plasmodium, that is your malarial parasite, when it is under the unfavorable condition, it will divide. Many nuclei are being formed and surrounded by the cyst. So cyst is to protect the daughter nuclei or the daughter cells from the unfavorable condition. So when the conditions become favorable, the cysts break and the daughter cells are released which are identical to the parent cell. And here we have the example of the plasmodium or malarial parasite which cause the malarial fever. So next mode of the asexual reproduction is budding. So what is budding? Budding is a formation of new organism as an outgrowth of the parent organism, and here we will discuss two examples. Number one is your yeast and another is your hydra. So budding in yeast. Yeast is a unicellular fungus. Basically the fungus, they are multicellular. We are having only one exception which is unicellular fungus, that is your yeast, and during the process a bud appear outside the cell wall. The nucleus of the parent yeast cell divides into two. One of the nuclei move into the bud. The bud ultimately separates from the parent cell to form the new daughter yeast. Sometimes budding occurs so rapidly that the daughter cell starts budding even before being separated from the parent cells, and you will find the chain of the buds during the budding in the yeast. So in this picture you can see this is the unicellular fungi, that is your yeast. Nuclei, vacuole, because it is fungus, they are having a vacuole, and here the budding takes place, that is an outgrowth from the, you can say, the parent cell. The outgrowth of the parent cell is known as the bud, that is the bud formation, followed by the division of the nuclei, and a part of the nuclei enter into the bud, and these are your daughter yeast. They will separate from the parent and develop into the new yeast. But as we discussed earlier, they may not separate and the new buds may form. So these are the chain of the buds in the yeast, but ultimately they will separate and they will form the new daughter yeast, same as that of the parent. So the budding in HYDRA, very important. HYDRA use the regenerative cells for reproduction in the process of budding. So first see this picture. So this is a small outgrowth which is known as the bud, and by taking the nourishment from the parent, that bud grows into the size. So the parent hydra develops a bud, so bud grows similar like that of the parent, with the tentacles, with the cylindrical body, and after attaining the maximum size, that daughter hydra will detach from the parent hydra, fall on the suitable substratum and develop into the new hydra. So this is about the budding in the hydra, that hydra use generative cells by which they can form the new cells for the reproduction, that is the process is known as the budding. In hydra, the bud develops as an outgrowth due to the repeated cell division at one specific site. These buds develop into the tiny individual, and when fully mature, so this is the tiny and this is the fully mature, detach from the parent body and becomes a new independent individual. So this is about the budding in the hydra. So today we discuss about the modes of the asexual reproduction, that is fission and budding. In fission, you can say the parent organism divides into two or the more daughter cells. If they divides into the two daughter cells, the fission is known as binary fission. Example is amoeba and leishmania. And the multiple fission, the example is plasmodium. In budding, the bud-like structure, the outgrowth, the bulb-like structure that develops from the parent, they get the nourishment from the parents, get matured, detach from the parents and the fall on the suitable substratum and becomes a new individual identical to the parents. As it is the asexual reproduction, all the daughter cells are known as the clones of their parents because they are identical, they are same, they are the carbon copies of their parents. So these two modes of the reproduction we discussed today, and our next lesson we will discuss more modes of the reproduction, that is your spore formation, regeneration and fragmentation. Till then, stay home, stay happy, stay healthy. Thank you.